Hello all, my name is Benjamin Smith. I'm an assistant professor and director of the Graduate Architecture program at Tulane University. I'm presenting the paper, which was co-authored with Carrie Norman, also an assistant professor at Tulane University, titled Representing Authenticity, Drawing and Aesthetic Pedagogy. This paper is based on an introductory digital media course that Carrie and I taught together in fall 2018. The presentation today presents 4 parts from the paper, including the following. Part 1, Conditions of Authenticity. Part 2, Constructing Image. Part 3, Learning from Drawing. And Part 4, Communication Strategies. Part 1, Conditions of Authenticity. Representation in architecture takes many forms. On one hand, representation signifies something which it is not, such as a building. On the other hand, representation produces artifacts that stand alone. In Nelson Goodman's book, Languages of Art, he questioned the premise of authenticity in art forms relative to copies and forgeries. The chapter, Art and Authenticity, addressed Goodman's use of the term unfakeable, which centered on 2 characteristics related to an artwork's mediation, its autographic and allographic qualities. According to Goodman, an autographic work, such as painting and sculpture, produce works that cannot be duplicated and remain genuine. Alternatively, allographic works in Goodman's chapter include art forms such as music, drama, and architecture, works which lead to an eventual performance or construction. A significant distinction Goodman makes regarding mediation in allographic art includes dependence on a system of notation. Art forms tend to be more nuanced and often contradict simple classification. For example, Alfred North Whitehead raised the fallacy of misplaced concreteness to describe error in judgment that mistakes abstract concepts for concrete facts. A fallacy attributed to architectural drawings is the misconception that they always communicate with a common objective. Rather, drawings mediate diverse expressions of architecture, whether those are sketches, diagrams, orthographic projections, perspectives, or collage. In an assigned reading for the class, How Architectural Drawings Work, architecture scholar Sonat Bafna wrote about Goodman's assertions in relation to representation. Bafna questioned some of the distinguishing characteristics within architectural drawings by differentiating 2 general types, notational and imaginative, drawings which specify and drawings which depict, respectively. In presentation drawings by architects and architecture students, a depictive mode of attention achieved by imaginative drawings opens up architectural artifacts to produce qualities paralleling those of paintings, in a similar way as gleaning a concept such as the significance of the diagonal from a de Stijl painting. Drawings can escape their referential boundaries. For example, with adequate understanding of the depiction of volume and contrast, encounter with drawings can reveal architectural concepts about sublime form and whimsical transition, as evident in drawings by Boulet's evocative perspective for the Cenotaph for Newton, and Van Eyck's diagrammatic plan for the Sonspeak Pavilion. Experiencing these qualities through the drawings does not depend on the eventual construction of a building and presents a dubious situation related to their dependence on notation. In certain ways, it appears that the tool of production dictates autographic and allographic distinction, but like the brush acting as an extension of the arm, the parameters of an architect's tools establish similar proximity. A key is pressed, a mouse is clicked and moved, and today, authenticity becomes less reliant on physical materials and more reliant on speed, where perhaps proximity by way of a designer's social media account provides access to a more authentic autographic experience than does a painting curated in a gallery. More like a phone call, authenticity in this manner relates to processes of transmission that cannot be separated from its author. Part 2, Constructing Image. In a recent opinion piece in the New York Times, philosopher Regina Rini considers the implications of the coming ubiquity of deepfake videos. Enabled by artificial intelligence and machine learning, deepfakes are fictions so convincing that even computers struggle to tell the difference. Deepfakes may be an extreme example of digital age manipulation, but they are emblematic of broader shifts in our understanding with images, our understanding of images. Images are increasingly seamless, synthetic hybrids. They are never to be fully trusted, always in an indeterminate state of certainty, a sort of digital Schrodinger's cat. Two examples, one historic and one contemporary, offer indication of evolving roles for images in architectural representation. In 1939, Mies van der Rohe used cutouts and tape or glue to collage an interior view of his Racer House project. Within the edges of his pencil drawing occupy a layered sequence of texture-mapped walls ranging from a book-matched wood veneer in front, a cut and pasted photo reproduction of Paul Klee's colorful meal in the middle, and an overscaled landscape lifted from a film poster or a magazine in the background. It is a composition derived from the simple act of overlapping three images onto a drawn space. Here, image and drawing commingle. 70 years later, this seam is fully dissolved, giving way to dirty realism in the Bill Botten series of collages by the Swiss artist Philipp Scherer. Each synthetic image in the series shares the same compositional structure, a fictitious architectural form presented in elevation that fills a 5:7 aspect ratio frame. Variability in the series is located relative to the form's silhouette as it touches the ground and meets the sky. Counterbalancing the form's architectural austerity is the image's material realism. Like a capriccio in painting, the Bill Botten series complicates the real and the imagined. Here, many photographic fragments commingle, only their edges are invisible. The course used developments in image culture, specifically collage practices, as a vehicle for introducing perspective to the students. It is here where the objective points of view, orthographic and axonometric projections, give way to subjective first-person ways of seeing. Part 3, learning from drawing. Goodman's terminology for autographic and allographic mediums influenced instruction in the class with concepts for drawing exercises aimed at authenticity. These terms helped to develop a motive for the class, which asserted the students' command of tools to author their own ideas. Two goals dovetailed as necessary components for learning. One, develop assignments to understand conventions of drawing, and two, offer opportunities for creative exploration of those conventions. Dividing the course into lecture and workshop formats supported these tasks. Each week consisted of 2 classes. Tuesdays introduced and framed topics on representation and media related to assignment themes in a lecture format. Early lectures included easier to understand topics such as the geometry of plans and orthographic projections. As the class progressed, more advanced theoretical content such as culture of the post-digital and graphic storytelling became class themes. A reading was selected for each of the Tuesday lectures, which students summarized in annotated bibliographies. Thursdays developed techniques and skill-building exercises in a group workshop setting. Visual assignments were due each Thursday and included learning a progression of skills with greater complexity, from photoshopped plan collages to orthographic and axonometric projections to image production. To help the students work through the visual exercises, a template was produced in Rhino that gave them a proper layer structure to subdivide the drawing according to line type, which included cut line, 2 types of elevation lines, hidden lines, construction lines, and dimension lines, as well as a layer for hatches. The template also included print layouts to plot their drawings at appropriate scales without needing to use separate software. Layers for the title bar and a scale were also included in the print template. Part 4, communication strategies. Strategies for representation ranged in technique between vector and raster-based production methods. The first exercise of the first assignment tasked students to reconstitute plans of given source materials that included 15 precedents spanning 2,000 years of architecture's history. Titled Game Plan, students proposed an architectural riddle as the generative tool for constructing a fictional plan that combined fragments from at least 5 precedents. Students completed the first assignment by generating a section through a combination of projection and extension. Titled Fill in the Blank, students first selected a starter section from a preset list of 6 precedent sections. Building off of their first assignment, the second assignment tasked students with adding a half dimension to their 2-dimensional plan and section. Titled 2.5D, students constructed top-down oblique drawings. Both plan and section offered clues to generate building elevations. This assignment placed emphasis on texture-based graphical devices as means and methods for improving legibility of depth and managing changes in plane through tonal and textural shifts. Paired with lessons in 3D modeling, the third assignment culminated in a 3-dimensional model represented in worm's eye axonometric projection. Stripped of its interior and exterior projections, the worm's eye presents plan. It is descriptive geometry, pictorial of materiality, and measurable, making it an efficient mode of representation. Using San Rocco journal covers as a representational guide, this assignment emphasized contrast through tone and line and concluded the course's vector-based production methods. The fourth assignment tasked students with constructing a seamless collage integrating the 3-dimensional digital model from the previous assignment into a David Hockney painting of the student's choosing. Titled Hacking Hockney, the assignment honed students' skills in digital modeling and Photoshop. Students were allowed to alter certain structures contained within the original painting, such as the position and scale of elements, while requiring the compositional structure characterized by deep foregrounds and minimal perspectival distortion to remain. The fifth assignment, titled Copycat, confronted the ethic of authorship as an artifact tethered in equal parts to repeatability and reproduction, as well as uniqueness and autonomy, most directly. The assignment provided students with 8 perspectival views, each the product of a contemporary architectural office, to choose among and represent the selected image from an alternative point of view. The assignment tasked students to assess the composition, subject, mood, hierarchy, and spatial order of the source image. The last assignment, titled Tower Fantasy, tasked students with representing an existing work of architecture in the manner of an architect of their choosing. Through graphic impersonation, students created an illustration of Plaza Tower, an abandoned postmodern tower in downtown New Orleans, that faithfully adopted the graphic techniques, styles, and conventions of the source author. The assignment is ultimately a form of false testimony, an act of forgery that re-images Plaza Tower. Unlike deep fakes, these testimonies won't confuse anyone's understanding of historical facts. Rather, they are intended to test for fissures in our assumption of recognition, our certainty of familiarity. In conclusion, while the conventions specific to architectural graphic standards remained intact, assignment objectives collectively aimed to leverage copy as a site of invention. The deliberate and disciplined act of the unfaithful copy presented opportunities to critique the inexact without loss in precision. Ultimately, assignments aimed to cultivate an artillery of representation strategies that facilitated critical readings of precedent material, the testing of design ideas, and effective communication. Not exclusively autographic or allographic, architecture's conventions rely on diverse expressions to complement design goals. If architectural drawings straddle Goodman's dialectic of authenticity, perhaps one way to consider authenticity's synthesis can be explained by the presence of architecture as a quality of attention. Put another way, architecture emerges as a state of mind captured by mediated experience. Thank you.